brings us to the next item, which is the hearing. I'll just read this. The Board of Trustees will now consider student GF local level 3 appeal filed by Bonnie Wallace. The board will consider this appeal in open session. The board may not, however, go to closed session pursuant to the government code section 551 or 551.29 for attorney consultation. My name is Rick Tisdale. I'm the president of the board, and I'm the hearing officer. I'm recording this hearing, so silence all electric phones and other devices. Today, August 26, 2024, and the time is currently 6:02 p.m. The record contains relevant information regarding Ms. Wallace's allegations and requested remedy. So I do not need to repeat the information at this time. Any trustee who cannot be fair and unbiased in deciding the matter should recuse him or herself. Does any trustee believe that he or she should not render a fair appeal or is free to recuse themselves at this time? Anyone?
Rick, I'm going to go ahead and recuse myself from vote due to the fact that my wife is on this.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we appreciate that. Okay. And we let the record reflect that Lance Dillard has recused himself from this hearing. Thank you. We will now begin. Ms. Wallace, will you state your name for the record? You go ahead and come forward.
I'm going to start my timer so I keep track. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to present my arguments in this level 3 grievance. I want. Oh, sorry.
We have some things to talk about.
Okay.
Then we'll talk about the rules here.
Oh, I've got to stop my.
All right, I'm sorry. Bear with me just a second. Gotta find my list here. Okay, let me go over the rules, Ms. Wallace. The presentation portion of this hearing shall be limited to 30 minutes. Each party will have 15 minutes to make their presentation and may reserve time for rebuttal. First, Ms. Wallace will present her appeal. Second, Mr. Edwards will present the reasons for the decisions below. No party shall ask any questions of another, but the trustees may ask questions. The board shall consult with its attorney in private. The board will vote appeal in open session. Everyone should conduct themselves in a common courtesy and respect. The board does not permit any use of profanity or sexualized language during the meeting of this governmental body. Do you want to reserve a right for rebuttal, or you want to shoot you 15 minutes?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Wallace.
Yes, I would like rebuttal, and it's kind of hard not to use sexualized content since some of it is in the book.
Well, those are the rules of the hearing.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. But now, 15 minutes total is what we agreed upon on both parties. So if you do have a rebuttal, then you may want to speak for 10 minutes or so
Okay.
and save some time. Okay.
Thank you.
I believe we're ready to begin.
Ready? Okay. I want to start by reading a devotional that I found a few days ago. Bob and I read some Billy Graham devotionals. It's called Two Roads, Matthew 7:14. Narrow is the gate and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it. Imagine a very wide road filled with people all walking in the same direction. In the center of that road is a narrow path that goes in the opposite direction. It can be a lonely road, but it's the right road. Jesus plainly pointed out these two roads. One is broad, lacking in faith, convictions, and morals. It is the easy, popular, careless way. It is heavily traveled, but it leads to destruction. The other road is narrow and unpopular. People who follow the broad path are shallow. The path they choose is riddled with compromise. Standing for Christ means that you will walk the narrow way and stand for righteousness, goodness, morality, and justice. So Llano ISD's EFB local states, library materials, this is a direct quote, library materials shall not include harmful material as defined by Penal Code 43.24A2 or obscene material that is pervasively vulgar or educationally unsuitable as referenced in Board of Education versus PICO. I posit to you that Crank by Ellen Hopkins is educationally unsuitable. I also wanted to say how good it was to hear Dean's prayer children and to do everything for the honor and glory of God. So I'm just keeping that in mind. I'm here tonight to argue why this book, Crank by Ellen Hopkins, is required to be removed according to Llano ISD's own policy. I'm going to start off with Amos 5:15. It says, hate evil, love good, and establish justice and judgment in the gates. You are the gatekeepers for Llano ISD. Hate evil, love good, and establish judgment in the gates of the ISD. So keep that scripture in mind. I'd like to let you all know that TASB is not a state agency. There's been confusion about that. When you receive guidance from TASB and think they are a state agency, you might be more willing to go along with their guidance, but knowing that they are not a state agency is imperative, so you realize that their guidance is more suggestion. And so keep that in mind. I also want to define censorship and book banning for you. Censoring or banning a book would be removing the book from everywhere and not allowing anyone ever to purchase it again. I do not have that power to ban or to censor a book. This book, Crank, currently sits on the shelf of every Llano library, not the ISDs, the county libraries. Additionally, it can be purchased on Amazon or Barnes & Noble and every other bookstore. So I'm here to advocate for common sense. If a book is considered harmful, it does not have to be provided by tax dollars and placed on the shelf. I've been traveling across Texas, meeting with school board presidents, superintendents, principals, and sometimes reading at school board meetings to bring awareness about the harmful content that is prevalent in school libraries. I've had great successes in some schools, such as Northeast ISD in San Antonio. They removed 2,900 books. There were duplicates, but they have seven high schools. So they removed a ton of books. They were shocked at what was in their library. So I have to say, it's a beautiful thing when these folks who are the ultimate arbiters of what can be placed in front of children for whom they are responsible, they actually take immediate action to protect those children. That's not always what happens. There's other ISDs that are determined to keep the filth on the shelves. They fight, they drag their feet, they do everything they can. It's kind of disturbing to see what lengths people will go to keep the harmful content on the shelves. You should ask yourself why. And then you should ask yourself if you want to be one of the people who is fighting to keep harmful content on the shelves. Another topic that I like to bring up is introducing children to authors. Ellen Hopkins is a prolific writer of very sexually explicit and pervasively vulgar novels. I don't know if there is any children in here, but if there are, they should leave the room. The majority of her novels are rated adult. And so there is one of our new books is called Triangles. It's not in Llano ISD, thank you Jesus, but it's in lots of high schools that I've been to, and even one junior high in McAllen ISD. It talks about fisting.
I might add that we're not talking about other books, we're talking about this specific
That's
book.
exactly right, and I'm talking about the author, and that author
But you're not
wrote this
talking about
book.
the book that
I
you
understand,
presented
Rick. What I'm saying is that we're introducing children to authors. And when we do that, they go out and they search for other books written by this author. And so be cognizant that lining the shelves with books that are written by authors who are prevalent, and I call them chronic offenders, not a good idea. So her novel Triangles talks about fisting. It's when a man puts
Again,
his
we're not
fist
talking
up.
about- no,
Rick,
we're talking about-
are you going to stop my clock every time you interrupt me? Because I thought you said that nobody could interrupt
We're
each
talking
other.
about this book.
Thank you.
That's what we want you to stay on topic.
I'm on topic. Ellen Hopkins is a prolifically vulgar writer, so keep that in mind. When I met with Mike Morath at the TEA on June 28th, he was shocked. I read him that book. He was shocked at the content that was in the libraries. I took him a list of all the libraries that some of these books were in. He was shocked. So I told him that across Texas, superintendents and school boards are confused about what they can do and what they cannot do with inappropriate content. After I read a few book excerpts to him, he said these books could be immediately pulled from the shelves, immediately, bypassing the challenge process. I told him I knew that, and he obviously knew it, but y'all don't know it. Most people don't know it. And so I asked him to write a simple bullet point document advising what can be done with harmful content. I know most of you define yourselves as Christians. It is one thing to not know the content that is in the libraries, but now that I've brought attention to some of these books, which populate your shelf, I'm going to share another scripture with you. It's James 4:7. It says, "Therefore, to one who knows the right thing to do and does not do it, this is sin." One of you called me after I filed the very first book challenge and said, "Oh my gosh, thank goodness you filed a challenge and you're following the process that we've laid out." I'd like to tell you your process is broken. Okay, I know it's broken. Y'all probably know it's broken too now. Leaving the vile books on the shelf so that more students will encounter these books while y'all are dragging your feet to slow down the process is quite unbelievable. It's also unbelievable that you brought in Trevor to try to stop me last time when I was speaking and reading excerpts from the House of Sky and Breath at the July 25th meeting. Trevor said it's profanity, and he was right. It is profanity. That book was profanity. I appreciate y'all removing it. You can call it the weeding process if you want to. I'm thrilled. I don't care what you call it, but I appreciate you getting rid of the books because there's a lot of harmful books. I have over 300 more books that I'll be happy to send you challenges on. So I wondered, the scrutiny that y'all give to challenged books, how much scrutiny do you give to buying new books? Y'all told me you could do 9 books a year. Is that how many you buy, 9 books? Do you give as much scrutiny to the purchase process? Do you have a committee that reads the book in its entirety? Your process is broken, y'all. I don't think tax dollars should be spent on content which can warp the immature minds of children. You might have heard, I shared with Mac that I have a list of 10,800 books which the Texas Department of Criminal Justice prohibits for prisoners. Several of the reasons that books are placed on this list is if they contain illegal sex acts such as rape, incest, sodomy, bestiality, etc. Or also if they contain heavy drug usage or heavy alcohol usage. And so this means that if you do not vote to remove the book Crank, which glamorizes and trivializes heavy drug usage, that the minds of hardened criminals in the Texas prison system are better protected than the minors in Llano High School. What is crank? Do y'all know what crank is? Crank is a slang term that is often used to refer to methamphetamine, a powerful and highly addictive central nervous system stimulant. Taking the drug affects your attention, your heart rate, your body temperature, blood pressure, mood, and responses. Unlike cocaine and heroin, crank is made synthetically using different chemicals. Many meth labs are run by unqualified meth cooks. I wonder what you have to do to be a qualified meth cook. Do we really want this book in our library for our children? I say no. We don't. Llano already has plentiful drug users. We do not need to glamorize it and trivialize it. Y'all, I've been praying for y'all. I've been praying for y'all to have the courage to do the hard thing, which actually should be the easy thing. This should be the easy thing. Jeff, you have children still in the school. Paul, your daughter graduated with mine. Rick, Cody, your son's graduated with my daughter. Would you want your children reading this stuff? I say no. Is your job, your highest priority on the board, to protect the children that are entrusted to you? To protect their minds? I hope so. I hope it's not to protect the librarians. When the book review committee voted 7-0 to place this book, Crank, in the new opt-in section, along with the second book I challenged, I was disappointed. I don't think having a XXX section of the high school library seems like a healthy thing to do. So you now have an opt-in section, and parents have to sign an opt-in form. What's on that opt-in form? I've asked to see it. How are you describing the content that is in the opt-in section? I sent you guys research that Texas Public Policy Foundation compiled about the harmful effects of exposure to pornography on the brain. I hope you looked at it. I hope you did. Y'all, fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Do y'all ask for wisdom? I hope so. You should not be fearing man. Man can do nothing to you except not like your posts on social media. We need to fear God. We are here, you are here on such a time as this, up there, to protect the children. Do you fear God? I fear God. I don't want him to tell me, Bonnie, why didn't you work harder to save the children? So I'm going to read a few excerpts. Been smoking pot since I was 13. Couldn't quit if I tried. Page 68. We used to do coke till Just Say No put the stuff out of reach. Now it's crank, meth, the monster. It's a bitch on the body, but damn, do you fly. Page 85. So when he asked about getting high, I didn't think, I agreed. We smoked some good California green. Took 3 tries to put me in the place he said I should be. I wanted to meet the monster. Do you want your kids to meet the monster, y'all? Page 102. Like an idiot, there I was, snorting crank with my dad, my boyfriend, and my boyfriend's other girlfriend. Page 138. The monster rose up hard then, hard in her. She looked like an animal, crazy mad, diseased, spit in every word. She swore she'd get back at you, at me. Cranking, they said, and she was. Oh yes, she was. Page 303. Pot made you buddy up with Satan. Far fucking out. Beers in the back. Is this what we want our kids reading? Page 315, high for 2 days, too much crank, no sleep, liquid diet. Page 341, it started with a kiss crank revved. Oh baby, I want you so bad. Kisses segue to bites, bruises. Pain rippled through my body. Brendan, stop. No, you damn little tease. Off came my shorts. Down went his zipper. I realized I was in serious trouble. Just relax, you're gonna love it, baby. My brand new Victoria's Secret shredded. I froze as he jammed himself inside me. Stoked by the monster, it took him a long time to finish. Give me a line, he said. He pulled away, sticky and bloody. Page 503. Where would I find such nerve without crank to put in my mouth? How about this? I started cranking to keep up with schoolwork around gymnastics, cheerleading, student council, and other extracurricular crap. Y'all, do you know that the full armor of God only covers the front of us? It does not cover the back, because we are called to stand and to fight for righteousness. So I hope that at least the majority of you will stand and fight for righteousness. I'll leave you with my favorite Bible verse, Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. The Lord your God goes with you wherever you go. It's a command, y'all. It's not a mere suggestion. It's a command. So I say, bringing it back to Dean's prayer in the beginning, does this book bring honor and glory to God? Thank you.
Okay, and the time is 6:20, so, Mr. Edwards,
How much time do I have?
15 minutes.
So I would just start with of course, the process. The book was challenged in late January. That went to the committee. There were 3 parents on that committee. There were 2 teachers at the high school. The librarian was at the high school is on that committee, as well as a district employee on that committee. The committee read the book in its entirety. The one-liners that were mentioned earlier, they are in there. If you read the one-liners, you can look at book looks or whatever website you want to look at and find one-liners on just about any book probably in the library that's questionable. We We have lots of historical novels, historical books that are in our libraries as well that probably have one-liner inappropriate things that we have not removed from our libraries either. So that process goes to Ms. Wallace didn't like her request for the book to be reconsidered. The committee decided to place it in the opt-in section, which is a student has to be 18 to check that out. When kids are 18, they make their own educational decisions basically at the district level. If a parent chooses for their kid to read it that is under the age of 18, the parent can allow that kid to check that book out. The reasoning, I believe, I haven't asked the committee, I would say that some people on that committee might think that it might not be appropriate for a 14-year-old. The book could possibly be educationally enlightening for some 14-year-olds, but all the way up to 18. As Wallace said, it's in every library. That book was in our high school library. Just a little history on that book. It was published in 2004. It was bought at Llano High School in 2009. We had 2 librarians that year. I believe Miss, can't recall her name, but Miss Dillard was one for the second half of that year. She was hired later in that year. Miss Province was the librarian for the first half of that year. We don't know which one of those librarians purchased that book. Our records indicate it goes back to 2012. The book was checked out several times from 2012 to 2017. Since 2019, it's been checked out twice. It was checked out once in 2019, once in 2021. So the dire hurry of this book being on the shelf and being removed, Ms. Wallace made reference that our process was broken. This book was in no danger of any kid checking this book out. There's not one kid in our high school currently that has ever checked the book out. Again, it's been in our library since 2019. I'm sorry, since 2009. So again, you can read websites for and against. I've read the book. The book is a cautionary tale of drug use. The book is a tale that I haven't done a book review since college, so this is a little different for me, but the book is a cautionary tale of drug use, how it affects not only yourself, but it affects your family, your immediate family. The young lady was what we can assume to be a high school sophomore, high school junior, 15, about to be 16, goes to visit her father. Starts with something as innocently as a cigarette and gets involved with the wrong crowd, and it moves from there. As administrators, I've only been doing this for 28 years. I've been a superintendent for 11. I was a principal for 9. I can say that we've probably all in that time seen kids that have traveled that road. The drug usage is, to me, I think the book contains some educational qualities that a kid could read and get and understand. Like I say, this again is a cautionary tale. The young lady, there is a rape scene in the book. The F word is mentioned 4 times. The committee made the decision they made to leave it on the 18 and older section, and I think that the book is properly placed in our library. That's why she made the grievance. She filed a grievance that was heard by Mr. Patrick. I believe Mr. Patrick read the book. He answered Ms. Wallace's grievance. She filed a grievance to me. I read the book. I answered Ms. Wallace's grievance, and now we're here. And so I believe in the 18 and older section, and parents, of course, having the right to allow their children to read a book that we have available, that is evidently available in every library in Llano, available at bookstores. I believe that, again, I believe the book is properly placed.
at this time, I mean, I think you have a little time left. Ms. Wallace used her 15 minutes, maybe just a little bit
Okay.
more, which is fine. But does anyone on the board have any questions of either party at this time?
I'd like to clarify something. This book is only in the high school level,
Yes, sir.
no other LISD library.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? If not, we're gonna go in and, it's 6:30. 6:30, we're gonna go into, closed session to consult with the school attorney, and then we'll come out in those open sessions and make a decision.
Great job, Mama. Great job, Mama.
I knew when I seen
Time, 6:45, come out of closed session. I'm gonna call for a vote here in just a second, but a motion, does anyone have any further comments?
I'd like to say something, Rick. It should be obvious, but I'm gonna say this anyway, that nobody on this board wants to do anything that would support or encourage or glamorize drug use by any of our students. I, lucky or unlucky, was under the weather this weekend and had the time to read this book. I don't know if the other gentleman had that luxury, but I did. It is from the point of view of a young lady who's maybe 16, who starts using meth and quickly becomes an addict. It's written from her point of view, and she likes using drugs. And the book describes some of her drug use. Those passages are in there. I remember them. If that was all that was in the book, I would agree with Ms. Wallace. That is not all that's in this book. I think she's pointed out maybe 24 pages or sections where there's something she's objected to. This is a 527-page book. The rest of that book is filled with this young woman character calling meth the monster, lying to her family, alienating her family, failing in school, getting raped while she's high, stealing her mother's credit card so she can buy more meth, going to jail, getting grounded over and over and over, discovering she's pregnant from the rape. In fact, she goes to an abortion clinic and decides to keep the baby. The very last sentence of this book has from the young woman's point of view, she says, the monster is calling me out the door. Obviously, opinions differ. I don't believe this book encourages any kind of drug use. As a parent, I was terrified by this book and the possibility of how easy it could be to happen to any of our students or my own children. I guarantee you there are students in our schools dealing with their own addictions or dealing with the addictions of their parents or family members. And I think a book like this is important for them to have something they can read and relate to, or read and learn from as a cautionary tale, or as a comfort somehow to realize they're not alone.
disposition of Lonnie Wallace's jail local level 3 appeal.
I move that Lonnie Wallace's level 3 appeal be denied.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries, and that ends the hearing. Let's see, now we're in the informational items. Going back to informational items,
Mr. Turner, the district, property value and value lag. Guess you're not that interested, Mr. Turner. That's a fact, huh?
Okay, 2019, 2020, we discussed this a little bit earlier, but House Bill 3 was passed. It was an overhaul of the public education funding system, and it changed the way that districts receive state funding. In the past, school districts were funded on prior year values. House Bill 3 changed that. In the past, the district had to make monthly payments of recapture back to the state. House Bill 3 changed that, and so it is required that every year we discuss this, the fact that the district is now funded on current year values, and the exchange that they had was that the district will keep the recapture payment, and we'll make it on August the 15th of every year, and the district is able to draw interest on that payment. And so, by doing so, initially it did hurt the district, and now it does benefit the district, and so that's informational only, and I was required to tell you that. Thank you.
And that's very beneficial.
Yes, sir.
From a net interest rate.
Yes, sir.
All right. Administrative reports that you.
Like this, slap God in the face.
They're gonna do everything, that they do.
All of them, every good.
Well, that's okay.
Everybody praying for this woman. Yes. And praying for the board. Also praying for the board.
Yeah, if you guys would help us get the word out about this, just go to Facebook and share the live stream. That would help us out a lot. Texas Values Facebook.
I don't use any social media,
There you go.
but
Perfect.
I'll send it to all my friends.
Thank you.
God bless you guys.
God bless you too.
We'll see you at church.
And you sure will. You surely will.
You're not allowed to scoff and talk or heckle. No heckling. It's not sneezing.
It's Texas Values.
You know?
Got it. I'll put it out there.
It's a one line.
So are you going on Tuesday night?
One line.
Coming next Tuesday?
I have more than that. I have like 3 pages. But the thing is like,
Oh, that's right, you just started next Tuesday. Yeah.
We did the same thing in the valley,
some books
and we
that
had
I
opposition
would
from
love
other
to
churches saying.
it is terrible.
Oh,
And we're on, we're first and second.
Yeah, and so.